All right, so call to an elevator emergency, wherever that elevator emergency is, make contact with whoever made the call. In this case, it was the school maintenance staff. They said there's somebody stuck in the elevator. I said, guide me to it. They get you to not just the elevator, but within very close proximity of the elevator is going to be the elevator machine room. So as soon as she said, here's your elevator, right around the corner is the elevator machine room. She indicated that she had already cycled the power. So the first thing we want to do, as soon as she said that it didn't work, even before we take any steps away from here, is make verbal contact with the person in the elevator. So hello, whoever it is, can you hear me, can you hear me? If the answer is no, depending on how many stories you got to go, you want to make contact with them. We're on the level, lowest level of the building right now. Joe went up to the first floor, made verbal contact through the door. Hey, are you okay? Yes. All's well that ends well there. Not a medical emergency. This isn't like a super crisis. They're definitely stuck, but they don't need medical attention. That will, preclude us from needing an ambulance coming, or we can cancel them, whatever. The next step, once we know they're stuck, and once we know that like something logical, like just hitting the button, isn't going to work, then we go over to the elevator machine room. So the elevator machine room is very simplistic. If it's a hydraulic elevator, which most of them are, everyone that I've run into in the town of Hinesburg is, you're going to have a master power, and then you're going to have a hydraulic reservoir. This other smaller panel, it actually says it right now, cab lights. So don't be confused, and most of them are identified, but you're looking for the biggest knife valve right here to shut the power off. So in this case, what you'll see, it's already been shut off, it's already been locked out, tagged out, because we're at the end of our adventure here. But if it wasn't, it would be in the on position. Whenever you shut the power off, you're going to communicate with the person in the elevator. So it's going to be, hey, sir, ma'am, we're going to, you might hear a noise, we're just turning the power off. With a closed hand, you take it and you close that valve. You turn the power off that way. And you also avert your eyes, so you can just look the other way, shut that power off. What that is going to do is, the closed hand is because if you're grabbing onto this, there's enough electricity running through here that if there were to be any type of arc, it would come right at you, and literally your hand would be, this is the way electricity works, it's going to, you won't be able to let go. And so you could be electrocuting yourself a whole lot worse than if you have a closed hand and brush it off like that. You're also averting your eyes, because an arc is super not okay for your eyes. It's going to damage your eyes. So in this case, turn that off, you're averting your eyes, closed hand, you're waiting at least a minute, just like any piece of technology or electricity, it runs off electricity. Wait for the minute or so. At that point, you're communicating back, hey, we're turning the power back on, person in the elevator. Same thing, closed hand, avert your eyes, up it goes. Then you can try the standard, you're activating the button again, you're seeing if that works. What I did in this case, once that didn't work, I was like, all right, well, let's try the emergency access for the firefighter key. That's a whole separate training, but the point of story is neither option worked. So we now said, okay, elevator, person stuck in it, the recycling of the power didn't work. Step 2 then, or I guess we're up to 3 at this point, is going to be to actually open the doors and find out where the person is. All right, so for fire department access, if you want to control an elevator, and this is, if you go to a medical call, multi-story building, you want to control the elevator because cardiac arrest, something where you are going to need the elevator immediately versus sitting and waiting for it to come, use the FEO K1 key, which is a standard key across the state, probably beyond that, but definitely across the state. We have a bunch, and any elevator tech will be able to get us a handful more. On any panel that you see where you have your normal up and down buttons, you're also going to see a switch to be able to, this is for fire department access, you would actually be able to, so once it's in there, you'd be able to toggle the mode, and this is actually the, forgive me, this is the one in the base level is the fire department access, but it's the exact same circular on-off. It'll actually just say, instead of security, it'll say fire department access. Once you toggle it on, your key will stay right in there. The elevator is going to come to the lowest possible level. So if 1 was the base floor, it's going to come to the base floor and everything's going to open, and it will stay open until you take the key out. Now this is phase 1 of that process, and there's 2 phases. So phase 1, you've gotten the elevator to the bottom floor, doors are open. You remove this, and then once you're in the elevator, there's another box that says very clearly, like, fire department access. Same exact key. Key it open, and then you'll have sort of a power, so turn the power on, and then you literally, it says up, down, open, shut, or some derivation thereof, right? That's up and down is you then literally, like a video game, you're controlling your elevator. You hit up, elevator's going up. You release up, it's gonna stop. You hit down, it's going down, right? Same thing once you get to your floor, you hit open, the doors will open. You hit shut, the doors will shut. So it is almost total control of the elevator with this. When you're done in the, you get your patient down to the base floor, out to the ambulance, whatever, take it out. It has a reset feature, and then same thing on the base level, which is downstairs in this case. You just reset it, elevator goes back to normal. All right, so in this case, we have confirmed the power's off. We have a firefighter down there actually as the person lockout tagout to make sure that power doesn't come back on. That's the most critical component. So once the power is confirmed off, we have a firefighter there saying, yep, power's off. We've identified that floor 1 is where our person is. What we're looking for up here, and this is the sort of the sign for a drop key. So up here is often going to be an indication of which of these fancy elevator keys you're going to want to use. Now, in my entire history in the fire service, there's only been 2 keys that I've used. I've used a drop key, which is aptly named because you slide it in. We'll do this in a second. You slide it in and it drops down. And then the motion is a side-to-side motion like this until you actually toggle the release. So if the release is over here, you toggle it, and it would release the outer door. We'll do that in a second. The other is a half moon shape key. The half moon key goes in, and that motion isn't side to side, it's up and down. So what you're looking for there is a toggle typically up. Same thing, you're releasing the interior locking mechanism, and then your outer door will open. So half moon key is a toggle up, and it's going to release. Drop key, it'll fall in, and it's a toggle over, one way or the other, and it'll release that outer door. So we'll do that right here. Drop it in. You feel it. You feel it going in there, right? We kind of feel it. I felt a little bit of back pressure, and then it's just kind of, I've guided that open. Elevator key can come out, and now we have access. Our outer door is free. Now we have an inner door that is locked. That inner door, then a lot of components here, we found it fairly easily identifying the fact that somewhere in here is a mechanical lock for safety. The occupant, if God forbid this were to open up, the occupant needs the inner door for safety. So in this case, we toggled this, little gentle pressure back, and you've got access to the elevator itself. If you ever weren't sure of what to do here, if you said, okay, outer door's open, but I don't know what the heck is going on here, don't be bending and breaking anything too much, but you want to look and identify and say, for example, we were looking up and saying, oh, there might be maybe something that we need to toggle right there, so do we move this? As we started moving this, we noticed this was moving as well. So Joe said, all right, what about that? He depressed that, moved it, and we were able to quickly identify that that is the actual lock. So there's a handful of variations of this, but this was an easy one with the drop key to press in. The last thing I'll say about this is, once everything's married together, I bring a Halligan tool just to sometimes hold the door open. Otherwise, whatever you want to use, you can keep the door held open for the occupants to get out. The big key for safety, right? If this elevator, right now, looks like it's open, ready to go. If this elevator was here, so your person only had a few feet to sort of get out, that becomes a safety issue that we would need to get online with the elevator company. It's not as easy as, oh yeah, just slide right out here. The risks of a hydraulic failure, and the hydraulics are the only thing keeping this elevator safely where it is right now, we're not willing to take that chance. So we'll talk about that in a separate video of what to do if the elevator base was right here and you had access to the shaft below us and they only had maybe a foot or two to be able to get out. That'll be covered in a separate video. So phase 2, once you're outside, you've got the elevator down to the ground floor, doors are open. This is phase 2. once you put your key in, okay, once your key works, key in, unlock it. We have open and close, run and stop, and then call cancel. So in this case, what it would be is open and close is going to be for your main door, and that would be, we would put our key in here, hold. If we had this button on hold, that would mean the elevator is not moving from where it is. So for example, if we were up on floor 2 and the doors are open and I'm holding the elevator so it's not going anywhere, it can't be called to floor 1, basement, whatever. On is going to mean that I'm now controlling open and shut. I'm controlling that door manually. And then the trick would be, once we, in order to get to whatever floor we're going, would just be toggling. So say we're on floor 2 and I need to get to the basement where the ambulance is, I'm going to toggle the basement once these doors are shut. So doors shut, toggle the basement, and as soon, you'll feel us moving. When we get, here's the thing, when we get to the basement, okay, the doors aren't going to open. We are in control of opening and shutting that door. So we get to the basement, you're going to feel it like we're not moving. You need to manually open up that door. So these will get you, earlier in the video I'd said that we have the ability to toggle up and down. Forgive me, that is actually, the elevator will do that logically wherever you toggle it to go, basement 1 or 2. We do control the opening and shutting of the actual door. So you're not actually trapped. If you get to the basement, doors aren't opening, you're not trapped. You just got to hit the manual open button right here. When you're done, go back to off. Your phase 2 operation is done. Lock up your panel and then back out to reset the elevator. Alright, so if you open up the door, you open here, if you open up the door and the elevator's only, say, a foot or less up where you just see people's feet or something along those lines, they're unable to get out that way. And then you can, at that point you can hope that it's between floors on the first floor or whatever floor it is, but the logic is it's not. They aren't getting out. So you're going to have to get the elevator company on route if they're not already on route, which is very important. And then the only thing that we will do is maintain voice contact. There's one thing that people used to be able to do. It was called drifting an elevator, hydraulic drift, but the elevator companies have put a pretty near kibosh on that for our own liability and safety. However, the knowledge is this. And if the elevator company is over an hour away and these people are going to be stuck in the elevator, the primary pull is technical rescue. And that's because if there is only a little bit of distance here, we're going to need to open it up on the next floor up, open the door up. So say we were up at the next floor up and we're looking down at the top of that elevator, utilizing rope, technical rope rescue. We're going to get all harnessed up. This is calling mutual aid. This is calling the tech rescue team. Harnessed up, tripoded, whatever we need to do, whatever they need to do. We are not yet certified in that. To rappel down to the top of the elevator where there's a hatch. Once we get access to the hatch, people then get pulled vertically out of the hatch. That's if the elevator company is over an hour away. If they are not, if they're close by, they will be able to work their elevator company magic and hopefully get the people out without technical rescue. But don't wait on that. Right, elevator company, oh yeah, we're an hour away, suddenly becomes 3 hours. We all know, unfortunately, how sometimes companies like that work. No fault of their own. Don't wait. Start technical rescue, because just with any mutual aid, it takes a long time to get people coming.